Mic check, 1 2 1 2. Mic check, 1 2 1 2. Mic check, 1 2 1 2. Okay, perfect. Mic check, 1 2 1 2. 1 2 1 2. All right. Salam alaikum to you, 13th Ninja Assassin from Dubai. All right. Salam alaikum. All right, so there it is, guys. So just setting up the scene right now, setting up the title, and then the what do you call it? The thumbnail. So we're gonna set up the description and the thumbnail, which I've already written out pre-hand, because guess what? This is a very interesting topic that we are gonna talk about. Okay, and it deals with Conor McGregor and Khabib and the recent beef that they had going on right now. So just to let you guys know, we're going to take this show from the studio and onto the road. So just bear in mind with me right now. So we will get this on and cracking in just a second. So here we go. All right, let's see here. All right, Victory says, my man, shout out to you, man. You know what our topic is today? I know I didn't put it on the video yet because I'm still editing out the description, but it's about Conor McGregor and Khabib and the, and the crypto scam that is going on behind it. So, okay, wait, we got to fix this a little bit here. Let's see here. Are you wearing a shirt with a jockey on it? Yes, I am, right? You know, quite very posh of me to do so, right? You know what I mean? Once again, I know what you're going to say in regards to that. You're going to say, oh my goodness, the race whisperer once again. I already know, my man. Yes, I already know. Of course, man. You know, that's what you got to do. You got to love all types of, you know, different types of culture to expand your mind into pure intelligence. He says, love it. Yes, I was going to say that. See, I already know, my man. I already know off top. So, all right, here's the topic at hand that we got today, right? Khabib versus Conor McGregor, crypto scam beef reignited. Ayahuasca awakening. That is the quintessential storyline that we're going to go off of right now, right? So, the greatest rivalry in MMA from their UFC 229 2018 bout, okay, which led to a massive post-fight brawl, by the way, very similar to that of Dillion Danis, once again being the subject of target of a UFC 322 NYC crowd brawl. By the way, the same brawl that the New York mayor right now, the current mayor, not the one that was elected, because Mamdani is obviously the one that is elected, but the mayor that is the reigning mayor right now of New York, which is Mayor Adams. Okay, he is looking to press charges on everyone involved, and that means all of the Dagestani fighters that are part of the jumping of Dillion Danis. Now, obviously, a lot of people out there are saying, he says, you look like Felix from Stray Kids. Okay, well, whatever, you know, that means. I don't know who that Philip says. He says, can you listen to Walking Through Doors by Trevor Harmon? 11, my friend wrote it to make it famous when he is 14. Okay, that is awesome, man. All right, so, yeah, I have no idea who those characters are, but good for you. Okay, awesome. So, a couple of things you got to look at into this whole entire thing, right? First off, everyone, like and subscribe as we discuss Khabib versus Conor McGregor's beef being reignited based on Twitter wars and crypto scam accusations. Now, a couple of important questions to ask for this live stream, right? Is Khabib as religious as we think he is because he lives like a machine, okay? Is there more to the whole sleep, train, pray, and eat routine behind Khabib's intentions. Now, is he a real Muslim? We'll find out what I have to say on this matter as you stay tuned to this live stream. Now, in the recent times, Conor McGregor was having a religious ayahuasca awakening in Mexico. So how does this relate to his redemption and his relationship to calling out Khabib's lack of a moral choice in these alleged crypto scams, right? Or is it just an opportunity for him to take a shot at his rival once again? Okay, so by the way, before we get into this, I need you guys to understand there are more dilemmas and unbiased takes in this story, by the way, from a no mustache Muslim, a bearded Muslim. So please hear me out on this, okay? Victory says, can you see my text? Yes, Ernest, shout out to you, Ernest, my man. I can see your text. He says, I just told Nate I would love to be a part of Team Khabib. Oh, you just told Nate you would love to be a part of Team Khabib. Yes, of course. Very wrestling heavy, as you would imagine. He says, I really admire what they have. Okay. Victory says, and how they live. Right. I agree with you. He says, no Muslim is perfect. We strive our best to be one. I, as myself, smoke, which is forbidden in Islam, but inshallah, one day I will stop. And that is according to 13th Ninja Assassin, who, by the way, is from the UAE. Right now, obviously, the UAE is a Muslim country, but some will argue that maybe perhaps they're a little bit more liberal than they would like them to be. Okay, but nonetheless, let's get to the tweets that these two were sort of going at with each other. Okay, let's get at the tweets that they were getting at with each other right here. So, Conor versus Khabib tweets. All right, so let's get to these tweets real quick. Hold on a second. By the way, check out my little background that I got right here. There it is, right? You can't have a book about organized crime without rifles, and you can't have a WWE belt without some real championships to go along with it. And of course, the little fight poster. This is the fight poster from me and Anthony Hernandez's fight card that we shared together. By the way, the one where I got into his opponent's face and all of that. But okay, let's get to this, right? To the tweets. Okay, so here we go. Conor says, there is no way good guy Khabib used his late father's name, as well as Daggestan's culture, to scam his fans and sell a bunch of digital NFT onlines and then delete it for all of the content after they were sold, leaving fans robbed of their money. There is no way good guys do this. So what did Khabib say in regards to that? He says, you're an absolute liar. You will always try to darken my name after you got destroyed that night. Very true. This is very true what he's talking about right here, right? Conor is obviously haunted by that night. Now, I know a lot of fighters lose fights all the time, right? It's no big deal. Every week it happens. But it matters when it is literally a fight that the whole world was watching. I need you guys to understand a little bit in context what that fight was like, right? The whole entire world was locked in to that fight at UFC 229. And the reason for that is because there was a lot of religious tension that was going through the whole entire fight, right? Conor brought up, religious aspects of the fight. Khabib also brought up religious aspects of the fight, but only to defend himself. And then in the midst of that, there was this promotion that was pretty much used as a way to catapult the fight into the next stratosphere, which was Conor McGregor throwing the dolly at a bus full of fighters at UFC 223 months prior to that going on. So this happened in the spring of 2018, and the fight that Conor and Khabib had happened on the fall of 2018, which is October the 6th. weirdly enough, October 6th is a day that the Egyptians fought the Israelis and actually had quite a good outing in that particular warfare that they had on October 6th. But weirdly enough, that was also on October 6th. And then, of course, came the October 7th. That's completely irrelevant to the subject. Although one can wonder if Hamas created that particular date as a way to remind them of, hey, listen, the Egyptians have October 6th, us Palestinians have October 7th, or maybe, I don't know. But on any regard, just a bit of a speculation. Victory says, I just watched what Conor Khabib fight again yesterday. Would have loved to see if Conor was actually dedicated to training, because he actually did pretty good considering how dominant Khabib is. Make no mistake, look, as Muslims, and I understand what you mean, right? As sports analysts and commentators, of course we can say that, right? Of course we can speculate on these things. But the Islamic positioning on that is that we never delve into the past, meaning that, oh, what could have been, right? You often hear people say, well, what could have happened if I did such and such, or I did this and that. Believe it or not, this is actually haram in Islam, because everything that has happened has already been written by Allah. It is Allah's will, and anything that you go beyond that is just nothing more than your own selfish desires of things, right? I mean, look, you have free will. As Muslims, we believe in free will. We believe in free self-determination, right? Because you don't become a champion by just praying to Allah. You know, you become a champion by praying to Allah, training, staying in course with the particular routine that you need in order to become a champion, and that's how you do it. But of course, everything does come from Allah. Everything is centered around Allah. So that is what we sort of look at it as, like, right? Now, with that in mind, I think it was already written by Allah for Conor McGregor to go through what it is that he had gone through. It is also Khabib, by the way, just a couple of weeks ago, maybe even months prior, where he told Conor McGregor, I would like to see you change your life. And then what happened? Lo and behold, here's the ayahuasca story that is going on right now with Conor McGregor finding a religious revival in his life, okay? Victory says, supposedly Conor was still partying and doing all kinds of crap during the camp. Well, that's not Khabib's fault. Right now, you can argue and say he did great. Yes, that is one thing that we can tangibly talk about and look at and say, you know what, he did great in stuffing the takedowns. But you also have to argue the fact that Khabib is not a boxer. Khabib is not Floyd Mayweather. And yet, Khabib was able to do things that Floyd Mayweather was not able to do in a boxing sense. Overhand right. You remember that? You remember that sequence in that fight, right? Shocking. All of a sudden, Conor gets knocked down. Khabib jumps all over him, runs after him. Khabib tries to scramble away, and now they're back squared up once again. It was one of the most magnificent moments of that fight. He says, not saying it's Khabib's fault, just saying if he would have been fully committed, he could have done even better. You know what? When you mean done even better, this is what I think you mean, right? When we see a championship fight where it goes 5 rounds, I can name a couple of fights off top where it was very competitive and technical, right? One of them was Tyron Woodley versus Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, right? A couple of fights that they had that ended up a draw. You could say that was very technical. You could say, as boring as it was, the Francis Ngannou and the Derek Lewis fight was very boring, but that is only predicated on the fact that they were both knockout artists, and quite frankly, sometimes this is what you have to deal with when you're dealing with 2 knockout artists. So when you're saying that he did better, I think you can also agree with me by saying Khabib would have beaten Conor anyway, but at least Khabib and Conor would have went all 5 rounds, just like most high-level championship, people fight, right? They go all throughout 5 rounds and they show their entire skills and display, show their defense. As a matter of fact, whenever you have a high-level fight, this is how you know when a fight is at a high level. Defense. Defense is the most important thing in combat sports. It is also the most important thing in warfare, okay, is defense. By the way, what are some of the things that America prides itself on when it comes to national defense? Well, you've heard Abraham Lincoln say before that it would be virtually impossible for a foreign entity to come and invade America. Why? We have the shores of the Pacific Ocean and the shores of the Atlantic Ocean and the mountains surrounding it to protect us, right? So that right there is what makes America a formidable military all throughout this particular century. You can argue if it's declining right now, still is one of the most sophisticated military in the world, and that is predicated on the fact that America has national defense. National defense that is surrounded by, once again, the Pacific Ocean out here in West Side, California, and then the Atlantic Ocean out in the East Coast, okay, the originators of the 13 colonies. So they have all of that. That's what makes America a formidable military, is their defense. So what makes a fighter, just as I was using America as an example, being that they have to have a great defense to call themselves a formidable military, what makes a fighter a high-level fighter? Well, what makes a high-level fighter is high-level defense. Had Khabib fought a better version of Conor McGregor would have had better defense. Better defense in protecting his face from that overhand right. Better defense from the hand fighting to prevent Khabib from getting him with a crank choke. So when you say that he could have done better, I think that, well, maybe this is a biased side of me saying this, and forgive me if I'm being biased, and you guys can correct me if you think I'm being biased. But there was no way Conor McGregor was going to beat Khabib that night, even an in-shape Conor McGregor, even the Conor McGregor versus Eddie Alvarez, who, by the way, looked the greatest as he's ever been. 13th Warrior says, Conor stuffed the takedowns by cheating. Even the ref was in there. That's very true. That's very true. He had his feet right on the ropes, or I'm sorry, not the ropes, the cage, the fence of the cage, and Herb Dean had to warn him a couple of times. And then, of course, the knee that he was throwing on the ground, even Joe Rogan, made a comment about it while the fight was going on. And while Joe Rogan made a comment about it, it was only years later that Conor McGregor mocks Joe Rogan, saying, hey, call the cops, dude. Oh my God, you're hitting me with a legal blow. Like basically mocking Joe Rogan's California accent, right? Well, that is further proof that when Khabib says, you will always darken my name after you got destroyed that night, but you will never achieve that. There you go. That is indication right there that is the reason why Khabib did exactly what he did to him mentally. So he says, yes, good guys don't do that, Khabib says. They don't create exclusive digital gifts with real-time value. You can share with your friends and family. Gifts in the shape of a paprika, hat that symbolizes tradition. Okay, so the NFT was an actual tangible good that Khabib had going on. So all of this thing where it seems like, okay, he's scamming people off of crypto or this and that. No, he actually has an NFT going on. And that hat, by the way, is one. I mean, look, think about this, right? If you go to Dagestan, let's say you go to Dagestan, because now, because of Khabib, it's become, a tourist hub, not just for local Russians, but also for Middle Easterners who live near the region, Romanians, Eastern Europeans from other places, Germans. Now you got Western Europeans in there. Maybe you'll have Americans coming there. Obviously, DC, Daniel Cormier has been sending American kids to Dagestan for years now. Maybe 2-3 years, I forget how many years. But yes, maybe 2-3 years, but I forget. You know what I mean. So, okay, what are some of the merchandises you're going to buy when you go there? It is the paprika hat. That is what you're going to buy, because that is the ultimate symbol of their culture. So I don't know. Look, I don't know enough about what is going on right here. I don't have all the information in front of me. I can only give you what is literally in front of me, and that's that. 13th Assassin says, okay, wait, Victory says, yeah, completely agree, but he landed overhand because Conor was so afraid of the takedowns. That's also a good point. What does Khabib like to emphasize with a lot of the guys that are in the practice rooms with him. If you've ever been in a practice room with Khabib or anybody that's with his team, one of the things that they emphasize is switch the levels, right? That's why, look, when you guys see me hit pads or when you see me hit the bag, right? At least if I'm not making it intention that I'm only doing boxing, right? There are some times where I'm just, you know, saying, hey, I'm just going to work on boxing. I'm just going to show you my hands. But what do I do when I'm doing full-blown MMA? I'm switching levels every time, right? Whereas with other guys, when they train for MMA, right, what they are really doing is training Muay Thai or just training boxing, or at least let it be known that you're only training boxing, which is what I do if I'm just, you know, going by Queensberry style of exercising that I'm doing in that particular moment, right? But that is what they do. They switch levels all the time. So switching levels, he says, so much wasted movement. Oh, yeah, that's what you're talking about with the guy that made a comment when I was doing that boxing workout, right? Well, you know what? Obviously, MMA and boxing completely different, but with boxing, one move leads to the other. One footwork, one pivot to one angle leads to another, and that's something a lot of people that don't understand about boxing will never understand. Jiu-jitsu works in the same similar fashion. He says, yeah, that's what trolls were saying. Yeah, man, I mean, so much wasted movement because the majority of the people that they see hit pads literally just stand there in a plotted and then just try to go George Foreman style. Look at me, I'm a man, I can hit. That's what they like to do. They want to show that you know, that's, like, they think that that's what hitting pads is. Like, you know, I'm going to show there and show you how much of a man I am. Yeah, look how hard I hit. You know, that's not how it goes. That's not how it goes. You got to show smoothness. You got to switch up the tempo. You got to go fast. You got to go a little bit slow sometimes, and then go fast, and then go slow. That is a mature way of fighting. That is high fight IQ. But once again, listen, man. You know, kings never really care about the opinions of the peasants, but although it is important to bring that up because there are many peasants out there that are going to have this opinion, so they need to know their place and know where they're at. But yes, so, okay, going back to this, right? I don't know if the papaka hat is the only thing that is considered to be, like, let's say the NFT, or there were actual scams going on, or this, that. 13th Assassin says, boxing is an art of defense, but most fans want to see knockouts. That's right. Look, most people that see a normal, average pro boxer hit pads or hit the bag, they're going to say, oh, he doesn't really hit that hard or this and that. You know, but look at me, I hit like a man. Yeah, look at me, I hit like a man if I get on that bag. You know what I mean? No, you're not. You're an idiot. You're an imbecile. You're a low IQ Neanderthal, and you need to shut up and sit down. And why don't you get up and go shadow box yourself in front of the camera and find out how stupid you look, and then you realize you can't fight until you run across a person like me that makes you realize that for certain. But anyways, yeah, you're right, 13th Warrior. Boxing is an art of defense, but most fans want to see knockouts, and then they see knockouts. Look, here's the problem. When people see knockouts, right? When people see knockouts, I swear to you, they really visualize themselves doing that to another person, right? In a way where they think it's that easy to do. You want to know something? Mike Tyson fought Bruce Seldon. Does anybody know why the Mike Tyson-Bruce Seldon fight is very prominent? By the way, that fight, Bruce Seldon is not even a big name. But you know what happened that night? Tupac got hit up. Okay, you want to know why Tupac got hit up? He saw Mike Tyson beat up Bruce Seldon. So now Tupac thinks he can go do that to whoever. And well, you know what? Here's the thing. I don't think he could have beaten Orlando Anderson, the Southside Crip, who was the rival of Death Row Records, right? I don't think Tupac would have been able to beat him in a one-on-one fight. And I'm sorry to tell all the Tupac fans this. You guys may not like to hear this, but Orlando Anderson would have absolutely beat the shit out of Tupac at a one-on-one fight just based on the accounts that his uncle Keefy D said about him. He said that Orlando Anderson knew how to box, he knew how to wrestle, and he knew how to take people down, and he also had good hands. Man, Tupac would have had a very difficult time. So he thinks he was going to beat this guy up. What does he do? He goes and jumps him with a bunch of other bloods, and then obviously What came after that was, as they say, the rest is history. But that's what happens. You see guys knocking other guys out. You think that you can do it too, and you think you're like the man or this and that, but you never trained. This is what a lot of untrained guys do. He says, yeah, I have a hard time picking a favorite fighter, Ninja. I see what you mean, yeah. Meow says, I did MMA for 4 years, then I got kicked out because I was bullying me and I knocked him. Okay, you were bullying someone and you knocked someone out. Okay, good for you, man. That's really awesome. I mean, I don't know you from a can of paint, so I don't know if I can verify that story or not, or what gym you come out of, or this and that. I mean, yeah. But on any regard, Victory says, I like Pereira, Ilya, Gaethje, to name a few. Dustin was one of my favorites. Yeah, man, Dustin was certainly that, right? So, by the way, there's another guy that's being accused of, you know, a lot of charity fraud, but that's a story for another time. Okay, so he says gifts that you can find exclusively on Telegram messaging platform to the world. So there it is, right? That is the reality of this situation right now. And let's see, what else do we have right here? Okay, so he says, but to me, Pac is the Malcolm X of rap. The Candace Owens is the female Malcolm X. You really think Candace Owens is the female Malcolm X? Wow, that's, well, all right, man, that's a bit of a stretch. I'm going to respect your opinion, but that doesn't mean I'm going to, you know, vehemently agree with it. I mean, that is, yeah, that is a serious claim to make for, you know, for Candace Owens. But all right, you know, if you feel so, you know, who am I to argue with that? So real quick, Dustin is what? Oh, yeah, the charity thing that he has going on. There's also a lot of scandals that are going on, you know, behind that as well, right? So, all right, so how this leads to all of this, right? Is Khabib, you know, a good Muslim? Well, the answer may surprise you, and the answer goes as something like this, right? A lot of people are going to look at Khabib as somebody who is, you know, a devout Muslim, right? They're going to look at him as somebody, because he shows it. But here's the thing, right? I think sometimes we give, in the Muslim world, in particular in the Arab world, and I'm going to be very honest about this, in the Arab world, people tend to somehow correlate someone's position in life, accomplishments in life, as a merit of giving credit to their virtue. And that's not always the case. I'll give you an example. When I was in Egypt, I had a buddy of mine in Egypt, right? His name was Mohammed Bassouni. He was a wild guy, right? He was a good guy, but he was a wild guy, okay? A wild guy for Islamic standards, and wild guy for a guy that lives under Islamic, you know, settings, right? Obviously, he lived in a village in Egypt outside of Cairo, right? It couldn't have gotten more Salafi than that. It couldn't have gotten more Orthodox Islam than that. But a lot of people don't know about the things that I know about him, right? And I'm not even going to mention what it is, but let's just say that at the time when I was with him, maybe around the mid-2000s when I got to visit Egypt, my uncle trusted me with him because he was a medical student, okay? And go figure, my uncle married his daughter off to a doctor, right? Well, why else would you not trust your daughter to marry a doctor, right? But also, why else would you not trust your nephew from America to go hang out with a doctor from Egypt? What great way to represent the Islamic virtues of Egypt by having Kyrie Abu El-Kheer mingle around with a doctor or a person that is of medical expertise, right? He couldn't have been wrong. This guy was an absolute menace of a thing, yeah? He was an absolute menace of a thing. Look, he was a good guy. I have nothing bad to say about him. All I'm saying is that what my uncles expect out of a person that lives that Islamic virtue, Mohammed Bassouni was anything but, man. I just outed this guy like that, full name and all. Right now, you guys are going to look up who Mohammed Bassouni is in Cairo, Egypt. But he's probably a doctor right now, right? My assumption, probably has a private practice in Cairo somewhere, or maybe works for the Red Crescent in Palestine, or maybe in Turkey, or this and that. Who knows what he could have done? But all I'm saying is that my uncle trusted this guy a little too much, right? And what I knew about the guy, you know, let me just say that, you know, anywhere around the world, I attract, you know, all types of, you know, characters, if you know what I mean. So, yeah, you know, not exactly what you thought he would be. Now, is Khabib, you know, the same way? Look, here's the thing about Khabib that I noticed, right? I often thought that, you know what, Khabib is the quintessential perfect Muslim, right? And it's crazy to say that, but it's honestly what I think of him. I honestly think of him as the literal perfect Muslim, right? Most Muslim converts, you know, those white converts from England, you know, the ones that are usually ginger with the red hair, and then, you know, the converts that, you know, convert in prison, you know, mostly like African Americans or Jamaicans from the UK that also convert in their prisons. They want, because they become so fundamental and they become so conservative, they want to live just like somebody like Khabib. Whereas I've always mentioned that Muhammad Ali is the quintessential example of people who are Western converts, people who come from a Western background. And as such, coming from a Western background, Muhammad Ali seems to be a little bit more relatable to, let's say, the white converts in England, or the African-American brothers that convert to Islam in prison, right? He's a little more relatable to that. But Khabib, he's a guy that was born a Muslim, was raised a Muslim, and we think that his background is nothing short of perfect. Now, look, I'm not here to condemn Khabib in any kind of way, because there is no evidence of him doing any wrongdoing. What I am merely showing you guys is a little bit of some speculation and also some reality to how Muslim somebody really is. Now, when it comes to Andrew Tate, there is no doubt about it. This guy, in my opinion, is not a real Muslim. He's not a good Muslim. And as a result of that, I honestly think that he is a bad, I'm not going to say he's a bad person, but he doesn't try. All right, he claims that, you know, he's so racially superior because he's half black and Irish white that somehow this gives him a genetic advantage to things. But I'm sorry, Andrew Tate, most of the black and white converts I know will literally fight their own family members based on the degeneracy that they are trying to prevent them from. And that is not something Andrew Tate is willing to do. Andrew Tate goes out there and he promotes gambling. He promotes all types of things that are non-Islamic, right? At this point of his Islamic life, he should be a lot more conservative now, but that's a whole story for a different time in a different video, because the focus right now is Khabib and Conor McGregor. Now, going back to Khabib, here's something you got to understand about the parenting skills of Abdulmanap. He did create champions, but did he create men that were maybe emotionally disattached to things, right? And I know a lot of dudes that grew up with parents that taught them to be emotionally disattached. This is not a problem, okay? This is a fact and a way of life, and it is just the way that it is. But that goes to say that, you know what, these are things that we have to really talk about in order to understand whether Khabib really is the perfect Muslim. And the answer, and he'll even tell you himself, is that nobody is perfect. Even Khabib will agree with you that, hey, you know what? I'm a bit of an asshole sometimes. And then there's this accusation of Khabib making a black homeless man in Northern California do push-ups for money. And we don't know the truth behind that. We also don't know the truth behind whether these crypto allegations are true, or whether it was a bunch of people that he hired mistakenly and then decided to do some, you know, foolery behind the scenes and that he knows nothing about. These things are just the reality of things. He says, yo, bro, can you explain that drama with Conor and Khabib? I mean, I'm literally doing that right now, my man. You know, obviously it was about, it was obviously about, what do you call it? You know, the crypto scams that are going on, and then it dates back to when they were beefing. Okay, so guys, listen, I only wanted to make this a short one, but before I go, I want to get to the Conor situation, right? I did talk about this the other day on a conference call podcast. the combat radio show that I did. And I want to say this, right? I honestly think there is a good chance, and once again, I'm only speculating, a good chance that Conor McGregor is faking the funk on this whole entire Ayahuasca awakening thing. Now, look, I don't like this whole Ayahuasca awakening thing, right? Deontay Wilder took this, and guess what happened to him? He kept getting knocked out, right? He was a shell of himself, especially when you are a fighter like Deontay Wilder, okay? Because Conor McGregor is a Deontay Wilder kind of fighter, one shot, one kill type of guy. But honestly, I think that there is a good speculation that all of this is just fake and phony, and it is nothing more than a Charlie Sheen, you know, type of redemption story he's trying to stem from because he wants, and you know what, genuinely, I think he really does want to do good as well because he knows that there's a lot on the line with his White House card. He says Deontay Wilder took ayahuasca and got tired from his outfit being too heavy. There you go, right? Conor McGregor is no different than that. He's going to make a lot of excuses as well. Oh, my foot was a balloon. But then again, you know, as fighters and as people who train, you know, that's not always the case. That's not always the reality. But yeah, check out everything that I said about Conor McGregor on the Conference Call podcast, because I basically just sort of said the same thing but gave a little bit more details on that particular matter. All right, guys, so this was a short one, short live. I'm sure we're going to get more viewers on this live later on, especially since I'm cutting it short. Usually most people don't come back if the live is, let's say, over 3 hours long or this and that. More people come back if, let's say, it is under 40 minutes or so. So I'm going to leave it at that. Guys, don't forget to like and subscribe. I will see you in the next one. Don't forget to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. I will also do a video on this particular topic as well and elaborate more on it, and I will drop it sometime this week, maybe around Thanksgiving. And hey, here's what's great about being a Muslim content creator during Thanksgiving, right? Everybody's going to be off during Thanksgiving, except for me. Last year, shout out to Jesse on Fire. Guess what he did for Thanksgiving? He gave me something to be thankful about, and he sent me a super chat on my live stream. So shout out to Jesse on that. Hopefully, there'll be others out there that will do the same thing. Maybe more high-profile people or less high-profile people. Either way, guys, don't forget to like and subscribe. Check out the new video I have. What is the new video that I have? What is this video regarding? So the new video that I have right now is, let's see here. It is MMA Guru lied about the threats. I need you guys to check that out because I think you guys will really enjoy that. Fresh, coming in just a little bit late, but you're always welcome. Better late than never, of course. Welcome. He says, Allahu Akbar. He says, you can't leave. I would have to, brother. So, Fresh just got here. Yes, Allahu Akbar. How can I leave while Fresh is saying Allahu Akbar? But I have to, man. All right, so listen. Guys, don't forget to like and subscribe. I will see you in the next one. Check out my MMA Guru lied about his threats video and his white nationalist influence in MMA, and also find out his real name, which I have on the title below, which I have on the title of the video. Check you guys out later. I'll see you in the next one. No, not lunchtime running an errand, but Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Assalamu alaikum.